Hello and welcome to the OGHS Library channel with Mrs. Berg. I'm Mrs. Berg, and today we're going to be talking about how to create a podcast using Audacity and FMA, which is Free Music Archives. So we're going to start with a little Audacity tutorial. I've got the program opened here. If you don't have it installed on your computer, you can just go to audacity.com and you'll be able to find a free download there. So the basics kind of are located up here on your toolbar. Now you can do a lot with Audacity. I don't even know all of the functions of it because I'm not really a music person, but they do have a lot of tools if you like mixing music and stuff like that. But we're just going to go through the basic functions that we'll use when creating a podcast. So on your upper menu here, the way you'll start recording is with this red record button, and I'm going to press it now just so you can kind of see what happens when the recording starts. So once I hit the recording button, you'll see that it's creating a sound wave of my voice. And then if you want to pause it at any point, you just hit the pause button, and then you can hit the record button to start it recording again. Oops, the unpause button to start it recording again. If you want to stop the recording, if you get to the end of it, you'll just press the stop button. One other thing I want to point out before I hit stop is this microphone button right here. You can actually control the level that you're recording at. So if you have a really powerful microphone and maybe the level is kind of in the red and it's picking up too much, then you can put this down so that it records at a lower volume level, so it's not going to blast your listeners' ears off when you're done recording the podcast. So I'm going to stop this now. And another cool feature that you can do with this is you can highlight any portion of the recording. Like, let's say you want to get rid of kind of all of the dead space. So you can see when there's space where I'm not talking because it'll just be this flat line. So you just click and drag, and then you'll be able to edit that portion. And the way that I like to edit those dead portions is just by deleting them. So it's super easy. Once you highlight it, you can just literally hit delete on your keyboard and it takes it away, which is kind of cool. Another awesome feature is you can split any of your audio clips and then you can kind of move them around. So maybe you talked about something at the end of your podcast that you wish you would have talked about at the beginning. So the way that you can do that is you just find where you want to split your clip at. So let's say, I know that I want to split my clip right here. You can either right click and then hit split clip, or you can hit Control I and it'll split that clip right at that point for you. And then the nice thing is you can kind of drag each of these pieces to wherever you want them to go. Now, in order to, let's say I want to drag this piece to the beginning, you're going to have to zoom out so that you can actually see all of your sound bites on your screen at the same time. So you can use these zoom tools here to zoom in and to zoom out. So I'm just going to zoom out a little ways so that way I can easily see all of my sound clips. And if you want to drag something, you have to actually make the space for the sound clip to fit either in front of or behind whatever you're dragging it to. So I actually need to drag this audio clip over a little bit so I have space to put the first audio clip. Then you just click, hold, and drag it over to where you want it to be. And then you can mush them back up together so it's a seamless transition into each other. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. Oops, wrong way. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit because I want to show you another kind of cool feature. So they do have these different effects that you can add to any of your audio clips. And one that I really like to use is this fading effect. So if you, let's say I want to maybe fade this portion in or out, either way, you can just highlight the portion that you want to add the effect to, click on effect, you would hit fading, and then let's say I wanted it to kind of fade out before I go into that next clip. You'll notice that when I clicked that, the sound waves, they kind of shrank down into that gradual fade out, which is a really cool thing. Especially, I love using that when I add other audio into my podcast. So typically, if you've listened to podcasts before, a lot of times they'll have an intro and an outro kind of audio clip. So the intro would be at the beginning before their podcast starts. A lot of times you'll hear that music, and sometimes it'll be overlaid with the vocals a little bit. So I'm going to show you guys how you can kind of do that and add the intro music and then the outro music using the Free Music Archive. So I'm just going to minimize this for a minute. Free Music Archive is a website, so you can access it by going to freemusicarchive.org. And basically what it is it's a bunch of, musicians and creators that put their music out there for free for people to use under the Creative Commons license. And I'll talk a little bit more about what the Creative Commons license is if you're not sure. But it's pretty user friendly, so you can search kind of any music that you're any music that you're interested in. I almost said instrumental because that's what I'm going to search. So I'm going to search instrumental, maybe piano music, and just kind of see what it comes up with. So you'll notice that there's a lot that it'll pull up for you, and there's pages worth of music that people have put out there for free for you to utilize. If you know anything about the Creative Commons license, you can filter by different licenses over here. And then that'll kind of narrow your search even further. You can narrow it by genres, duration, all of this kind of stuff. So you can go through and play any of these, just kind of get a feel for what they sound like. And I'm just going to use one of these as an example. So when you find one that you want to use, you can just scroll over here and you'll hit the download button. When you hit the download button, you're going to see the Creative Commons license that this music has. And if you want to know what each of these symbols mean, you can hit specific conditions and it'll take you to the Creative Commons website. Creative Commons is just a license for just to protect artists that like put their information out there. So it protects music and visual artists and all sorts of things. Anything that's basically published online can be published under the Creative Commons license. And each of these symbols means something else. And so if you click on that link, it'll take you here and it'll explain what each of the symbols mean. So the little person means that I do have to give like almost like a byline, like I have to tell, okay, where did I get this music from? And I'm not allowed to use it for commercial purposes. And so you just have to make sure that anything you're borrowing off of FMA, you are following the license. So as long as you are okay with that, you can hit I understand and agree, and then it'll download it. And then you'll be able to add it to Audacity. So I am going to go back to Audacity here, and I'm just going to show you how I would add that audio clip. So the way that you do that is you're going to go File, and then you're going to want to import the audio. And then you'll just find on your computer where you saved it to. Mine just went right to my download, so it's right there at the top. So you'll just click on it, and then you'll hit open. And Audacity is going to open it as a separate track, but you can combine the two tracks if you prefer. So you're going to want to go through this, and you're going to want to probably just pick like a small clip that you want as your intro and your outro music. So let's say that, maybe I just want to use like this first little bit. So maybe I want to cut and split my clip right here. And then that way I just have this little piece that I can use as my intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to my first track and just kind of drag to make some room. And you can actually drag this piece up top so that they're on the same track. Because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up deleting this second track once I get the pieces that I want. So I included this little clip. I'm going to just kind of mush them all together. And then I am going to add that fade out effect to that clip, because what that'll do is it'll help fade out the music before I actually start speaking on the podcast so that the music isn't overpowering me. Now, another thing that I want to show you, when I start playing, you'll notice that this the speaker volume over here starts going. This is a way that you can adjust the playback level of any of your clips. So sometimes when you download music, and you add it to Audacity, it gets really, really loud. I've had music that's all the way in the red on the playback. So you'll just want to like slide that to adjust the volume so that you're not, like blasting your listeners' ears off with music, and then your talking is, exponentially more quiet. So just make sure you're kind of using those to control the volume. But that was actually a pretty good volume. And then maybe I'd want to find another piece of this clip. Like maybe I want to use this as like my outro music. So I could cut it, here, and then maybe I could cut it here. And then I could just drag that to the end of my first track and use that as my outro music. And maybe what I want to do is I want to fade in a little bit on this piece of the track, so that it's not just like full blasting the music right away. I want a gradual fade in on that so I could add my other fade in effects, just kind of like that. So then, since I'm done using those clips of those music, I just want to get rid of this track, and you can do that just by hitting the X down here, and then that'll delete that lower track so that everything is now on one track together on the top with some cool special effects. And that is one way that you can easily create podcasts using Audacity and music from the Free Music Archives. Now, the last thing I want to tell you before we end this tutorial is how you save this file. So if you're gonna save this file and you just go File, Save Project, what that does is it saves it as an Audacity file. So you're only ever able to open it via the Audacity app, which isn't super helpful unless your users are just going to listen to it and use it via Audacity, but it's not practical. Usually people want to upload it to like SoundCloud or some other sort of streaming service. In that case, you're going to have to actually export your file, and you'll want to export it as one of these different audio files. So for example, MP3 is a pretty typical audio file. That's what I normally export my files as because it's compatible with a lot of other applications. So when you hit export as MP3, you'll be able to title your file. So I'm just going to title it as sample. We'll save it. Username already exists, of course. And then it'll have you enter all of this information, kind of like the name, the track title, album, all of that fun stuff. You don't have to, you can if you want to. And then you'll just hit OK and you'll be good to go. And then you can access that MP3 and upload it wherever you need it to be. So hopefully you guys found this tutorial to be helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you like this video, I would love for you to subscribe.